So I'm Camilla Vuorenmaa and we are now in Helsinki, Finland, and this is my home studio. At the moment I don't have any other studio because I just had a newborn baby a few months ago, and also because of the COVID, so most of my works are in a storage and I just work a little bit in this corner. And also I do some sound pieces, which is a completely new territory in my practice, and that I can do on the computer with my sound editor. So in my practice I'm most known of my painting and carving and woodworks, and I have been doing that since 2010, and it's still interesting for me, and it's still challenging for me, and that's why it's also like it's a good material for me to work with wood and work with carving and mixing painting with other tools. So, for example, in this piece that I have here right now, you can see how I've been like carving some sections and painting over it and carving again, and that's very typical in my work, that I start every piece when I'm doing with this technique. I started by painting, so I paint first, then I carve some layers, then I paint again, and then I continue carving. And I do everything by hand, so I have these chisels and obviously. And then I just paint over it and continue until it's ready. Some people has been saying that my work is a little bit like that I kind of like make a graphic, like a print board, like board for printing, but I don't do any printing. So that's, yeah, it's funny. I never thought about it when I started to work with this technique, but it's like now after I heard it, I think it's very obvious. But yeah, so it's kind of like a mixture of relief and painting. That is my technique. Yeah. This is from the last year, and it's called the zombie. And I could show you something like here on the skin of this little zombie girl. There is this kind of like carving and painting mix, which is my technique, and it's been like my technique, let's say main technique, since 2010. So now soon over 10 years. I also glued some pieces of these canvas stretchers here, or tighteners, and then I've been using some mass and drawing as well. So this is very typical working method for me to mix things and combine them together. Next spring I will have the works that I was working for in New York in last summer. Next spring 2021 they will be in the Joensuu Art Museum in my next solo exhibition. That was postponed from this year to next year. And so I'm finishing the sound pieces for that, and everything else, the paintings are ready.
I see where they say communicate with your loved ones and the people are not mediums and they're doing this. That's active imagination. And I think the active imagination can help people. I'm not going to say it can't, but I don't think it's true spirit communication.
It's like every kind of like huge phenomena that comes in, let's say like any time, like for COVID now, it changes everything fundamentally for everyone. but you can see the effects much later. And I mean with the effects, I mean like the serious, deep ones, the mental ones. And I think spiritualistic movement was that kind of phenomenon as well. That it was like affecting to politics, women's rights movement. It was affecting to women artists' work and their possibilities, giving them more possibilities, for my opinion, what I found out from my research. And also it was like to do with the religion, obviously, because it was like a, question about is there really a possibility to communicate with the dead after they are gone.
So what do I see happening? I see a turnaround happening right now where the spiritual was taken out of modern art. It is now being put back in. People like Georgina Houghton and Wilma Aufklimt have shows now that are showing us that for many, many years, since the Victorian times, artists have been putting spiritual messages in their work and spiritual intention.
Like it's very natural that when we have like some sort of catastrophical times, or there happens something like really tragic that affects a lot of people and even like large communities. Definitely it has of course it rises up like religious movements, all kinds of them, it's very obvious, and especially when people are losing loved ones and they need support and everything. I think it's very clear. But I think the interest on this kind of like modern art witchcraft, for example, that was like coming already a few years ago, positive and quite calm, because I also know that I can do my work in any condition, and it's like it's the one that gives me energy, and it's like it's always in the core of my work is anyway my like imagination. So it doesn't really matter where I'm doing it or what are the tools, because it's anyway coming, it's like it comes anyway. So, and I guess like every artist can agree with me with that life always like changes, and you just have to find ways to deal with it. And it's like that was even before the COVID times and everything else. And you just have to do it when you do it, and that's it. Here she is, and I think she's hungry. But yeah, this is my life. So she's like the center of my attention, and then I do some work as well. My baby girl Valo.
Which means light.
Yeah, that means light in Finnish.
Kids don't know that ice cream is dairy